Hello everyone, today in this video we'll fight against the atmosphere of our world around us, and today we will talk about Iagellonian Poland, but we will not talk about the historical entity that existed in the past, in the one should say late medieval, very late medieval and early modern era. This Iagellonian Poland historical one spans over these two periods, historical periods in European historiography, but we will talk about a modern concept that is now being realized by pushing towards union between Ukraine and Poland. And the current concept of this Jagiellonian Poland, that according to its proponents is closely connected to the idea of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and we should rebuild it and so on, is complete utopia. Why? I will just explain it to you really briefly, but I will use few examples. For instance, Ukraine, Belarus, Lithuania, and Latvia and part of Estonia, because if we talk about Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, we talk about the territories covering the territories of the countries I mentioned, with Estonia and part of Latvia belonging for a shorter period of time to the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth due to some geographical changes. But now we need to remember that in 19th century many sociological processes happened, also thanks to Habsburg and German, but mainly Habsburg activity from Austria since 1867, Austro-Hungarian monarchy. Many intellectuals and a lot of money were directed to divide Slavic population on the north of the country, and this division went according to the easiest line, and the easiest line will be and was, is and will be of course religion. A lot of people in so-called Eastern Galicia, so in Polish eastern part of Greater Poland, eastern part of Little Poland, were of the Orthodox Christianity confession. Of course, the rest was mainly Roman Catholic. There were some minor Protestant groups and of course visible Jewish population. But Jewish population is out of this discussion because they were living in their own world, let's say, interacting of course with the external world, but here this what we are now discussing has nothing to do with. I mean, the action of Austro-Hungarian intellectualists and activists to create a so-called Ukrainian nationalism on the basis of the existence of Rusin and Eastern Orthodox population in so-called, as Austro-Hungarian was called it, Eastern Galicia, and for Polish, Eastern Little Poland region. So we see that this Ukrainian, for instance, nationalism, because about Belarusian nationalism we cannot say much because it doesn't exist, and about Belarusian language I really have doubts if something like this existed or exists. Maybe we should ask some linguists, but the Ukrainians are the clear example how their national identity was built in opposition, and very violent opposition, what history showed even during the last months of First World War, when Polish people had to fight with Ukrainians for city of Lviv. And we see that this nationalism was created in a acute opposition to Polish identity. And the same we can say, but now not mainly Austro-Hungarian activists with support of Germans, but only German activists and German money recreated something that we call now Lithuanian nation. And of course, this was recreated also strongly opposing Polish elements of their culture. Because in Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, this historical one, this what was Augstota and Żmudź, we are calling these territories now Lithuania. But Lithuania historically was to a large extent this, what we now call Belarus. And these territories were by majority of people living there in the late medieval period, these were Orthodox Christians, Rusyns. So they got quickly Polonized, even many of them converted to Roman Catholicism, so Latin version of Christianity, and Lithuanians were really tiny minority that created Great Duchy of Lithuania, kicking out the Tatar rulers from these territories and joining former Rusyns' lands. But Lithuanians were really tiny elite, or actually part of the elite of this country, really tiny. And their language was also disappearing, because even the Iagellonian dynasty, for instance, Władysław Jagiełło was later king of united by personal union Polish and Lithuanian state, was even already heavily Russinized, and there is even a question by some historians, how fluent was he in Lithuanian? This is also the matter of debate. So we see that after several centuries, we know there was a process of heavy Polonization, especially of people of aristocratic origin and people in cities. That is why from the remnants somewhere on Żmudź and Augstota, so today's territories of modern Lithuania, German activists were doing everything to revive Lithuanian identity. But these revivals, all Ukrainians and Lithuanians, are built against the Polish identity. That's why intellectuals in London or in Washington may think about recreating such geopolitical entity that would balance the influence of Germany and separate Germany from Russia. Because on map everything looks fine, statistics look fine. When we add all populations, it looks fine. But culturally, we are not yet ready to live together, because identity of especially Lithuanians and Ukrainians was created in opposition to Polish identity, and Belarusians are heavily influenced by Russians. They are Russified, and also Russian interests are not in agreement with Polish interests. That's why this concept of independent Lithuania, Belarus and Ukraine of Mr. Giedroyć, also a Polish emigre activist in the second half of 20th century, is complete nonsense. We could try to rebuild something like Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, but Poland should rebuild first its cultural and economical influences on these three countries, Lithuania, Belarus and Ukraine, and repolonize their elites. Then we could think about culturally and economically slowly incorporating them and create a sort of federation. But now such attempts of creating quickly such geopolitical entities out of these countries will result only in a bloodshed. This is my opinion. All the best. Have a nice day. Bye.